You know what's a sucker to me? A sucker is a nigga who pick who he be fight with.
Right.
Like if you sit and you go, I'm not going because this.
I won't go him, but I'll fight with this one.
Yeah, I think I can take him.
Right.
You want to fight the nigga you think you can beat.
Jay Prince might not be as untouchable as he wants folks to believe. For years, he's walked around like he's the Don of the South, flashing power and making calls like he runs the entire game. But when he crossed paths with 50 Cent, man, that's when things really started popping off. See, Jay might have brushed off 50 like he was some lightweight, just another loudmouth rapper. But 50 ain't no rookie in this. If Jay Prince came strapped with ego, 50 pulled up with a whole arsenal of smoke. Especially now, with rumors swirling that Jay got ties to a real shooting, things just hit another level fast.
Curtis, 50, Jackson. Now, this is somebody who is a philanthropist, rapper, artist, business person, you name it. Used to live in another city up north, but found his way down south. This is one person who is now a Houstonian. I want to thank him.
So how did this heat even start? Let's rewind a little. Jay Prince ain't your average label exec just flapping his gums. Nah, this dude got deep roots. He co-founded Rap-A-Lot Records and been running things in Houston since the 80s. You don't get that confident unless you got real weight behind your name. In Houston, Jay moves like royalty. Rappers in the city treat him like a king. You either show respect or get left outside the gates.
We don't capitalize and try to glorify this shit. Now, we gonna sit and have conversations about niggas as strong as us.
I just want to say it's an honor to be here today. I'm really excited about being in Houston. Since I've made my way out here, the Houstonians have embraced me with open arms, and it just feels like a great place for me to expand G-Unity as a foundation and continue to work with programs like HISD and may turn on all the different efforts that I can get involved in. You know, and it's exciting for me like to make the next level.
But that whole vibe, it don't fly with 50. He ain't the type to kiss rings or wait for a seat at anyone's table. While most rappers play the industry game, hoping to get that nod from the big bosses, 50's on his own time. He's a lone wolf, never been scared of top dogs. Let's not forget, he already went toe-to-toe with Ja Rule and Murder Inc. and came out the other side untouched. Jay Prince might have that OG status, but 50 got his own empire. G-Unit Records dropped in 2003, and it wasn't just a label. It was a whole movement. 50 didn't follow no rules. He built his own playbook. He never cared for industry politics, fake loyalty, or that pay-for-protection nonsense. So imagine what it meant when word got out that 50 might be heading down to Houston. That's like a king invading another king's castle. The moment that rumor dropped, you just knew something was about to explode. 50 Cent didn't just roll into Houston to chill and sip sweet tea. Nah, this was chess, not checkers. When he touched down in H-Town, it wasn't just about changing zip codes. It was a whole power move. He planted his flag with the G-Unit Camp program, and before you knew it, the man became a straight-up staple in the city. His presence shook the block in the best way. Folks were hyped, just seeing 50 at local events, giving back, putting on for the city. That was next level. This wasn't some celebrity visiting for clout. He was really putting in work for the community, but not everyone was smiling about it. Jay Prince? Oh, he was watching real close. See, Jay's used to running the show, being the boss of bosses. Even with his legendary status, he wasn't about to sit quiet while someone else soaked up that kind of shine in his own backyard, especially not someone like 50, who wasn't playing by the check-in rules. At first it was light jabs, 50 trolling like he always does, throwing slick shots online and in interviews. Dude knew he had clout and wasn't sweating Jay one bit. It was like two generals staring at each other from opposite castles, launching verbal missiles instead of stepping into the ring. But then, things escalated. 50 started making it real clear. Houston was his now. He hit Twitter with a post that said he still loved New York. But Houston, that was home. That one post wasn't just about liking the weather. It was a bold move, a public claim on Jay's territory. See, New York had turned cold for 50. Not just the weather, but the whole business game. Taxes were killing his money flow, and trying to build an empire there? Brutal. Houston, though? That was prime land. Low taxes, hot rap scene, fresh energy. The perfect soil for 50 to plant his next empire. And that's when Jay Prince really felt it. This wasn't just some artist passing through. This was 50 Cent setting up shop and claiming power in a city where rappers usually had to check in with Prince before making moves.
In a news conference after the big ceremony, 50 Cent said his plans in Shreveport go beyond just G-Unit studios.
I got to create the nightlife. I got to get into the real estate in the area to be able to facilitate what happens after big events happen.
When asked about bringing employment to the area, Jackson said it's already started.
You've seen some of the good things that Tyler Perry done in Atlanta, and you'll see this mirror that to a degree.
50 Cent didn't just roll into Houston to chill and sip sweet tea. Nah, this was chess, not checkers. When he touched down in H-Town, it wasn't just about changing zip codes. It was a whole power move. He planted his flag with the G-Unit camp program, and before you knew it, the man became a straight-up staple in the city. His presence shook the block in the best way. Folks were hyped. Just seeing 50 at local events, giving back, putting on for the city, that was next level. This wasn't some celebrity visiting for clout. He was really putting in work for the community, but not everyone was smiling about it. Jay Prince? Oh, he was watching real close. See, Jay's used to running the show, being the boss of bosses. Even with his legendary status, he wasn't about to sit quiet while someone else soaked up that kind of shine in his own backyard. Especially not someone like 50, who wasn't playing by the check-in rules. At first, it was light jabs. 50 trolling like he always does, throwing slick shots online and in interviews. Dude knew he had clout and wasn't sweating Jay one bit. It was like two generals staring at each other from opposite castles, launching verbal missiles instead of stepping into the ring. But then, things escalated. 50 started making it real clear. Houston was his now. He hit Twitter with a post that said, he still loved New York, but Houston, that was home. That one post wasn't just about liking the weather. It was a bold move, a public claim on Jay's territory. See, New York had turned cold for 50. Not just the weather, but the whole business game. Taxes were killing his money flow and trying to build an empire there. Brutal. Houston, though, that was prime land. Low taxes, hot rap scene, fresh energy. The perfect soil for 50 to plant his next empire. And that's when Jay Prince really felt it. This wasn't just some artist passing through. This was 50 Cent setting up shop and claiming power in a city where rappers usually had to check in with Prince before making moves. 50 Cent didn't pull up in Houston asking for permission. He moved how he wanted, when he wanted. And he wasn't just dropping by to shoot a music video or make noise. He came to invest, build, and show love to the city in a way that turned the heads. But while 50 was just doing him, Jay Prince took that move real personal. See, in Jay's world, skipping the check-in process is like spitting on the throne. For years, rappers touching down in H-Town knew the drill. Tap in with Jay or prepare for problems. But 50, he wasn't trying to follow nobody's script. So when 50 landed without a phone call or heads up, Jay saw red. That kind of move was a straight slap to his reputation. Feeling disrespected, Jay didn't just talk slick, he sent pressure. Word is, Jay unleashed his crew to lean on 50, trying to collect that so-called street tax. He wanted 50 to pay up for protection. But this ain't no regular rapper we're talking about. This is 50 Cent. You think he's gonna fold under street pressure? Nah, this man survived real beef, bullets, and business snakes. If Jay thought 50 would roll over and toss him a bag just to keep the peace, he seriously misjudged his opponent. 50's whole mindset been clear since day one. Get rich or die trying. He didn't get this far by playing scared, and Jay should have known better. 50 didn't come to Houston solo. He came strapped with G-Unit, a crew that's always down to ride. This wasn't some industry clown showing up wide-eyed. 50 came prepared, muscle and all. So when Jay sent hitters to check him, 50 didn't blink. That move backfired. It wasn't just an insult, it was a challenge. Jay acted like 50 was some outsider who could be bullied into submission, but that ain't how it played out. The disrespect, it only turned the tension all the way up. And once 50 made it clear that he wasn't about to check in or bow down, that's when Jay snapped. He started warning folks, letting it be known, Houston's a no-fly zone for anyone who doesn't play by his rules. But 50 already broke those rules, and he wasn't going anywhere. That no-fly zone warning from Jay Prince? It was his way of barking, "Stay out of my business." That kind of move might have had a lesser rapper tucking tail and catching the next flight out. But 50 Cent? Man, he ain't built like that. 50 wasn't just another industry rookie. He's a rap mogul and a boss in the business world. But Jay kept treating him like he was some lost artist with no clue how the streets or the game work. Big mistake. 50's been 10 steps ahead since day one, and he decided to fight fire with finesse by taking the beef to the place where he always wins. Social media. Instagram became 50's battlefield, and he didn't hold back. Dude turned it into a comedy club at Jay Prince's expense. Memes, savage captions, sneak disses in every post. He clowned Jay like it was open mic night. While Jay was getting heated behind the scenes, 50 was cracking up and watching his followers eat it up. And honestly, he had every right to laugh. This wasn't just about trolling. While Jay was busy trying to flex control, 50 was laying down real foundations. He wasn't just passing through, he had a $20 million G-Unit studio ready to drop into Houston, TV projects, film production, local jobs. He was ready to spark a whole creative explosion in the city. That move would have turned Houston into a media hub overnight. A G-Unit stamp on the map could have meant major careers, money flow, and a new spotlight on Southern rap. 50 was serious about building a legacy, not just stacking cash, but leaving a mark. But just when things were looking golden, he yanked the whole thing and moved it to Shreveport, Louisiana. Officially, 50 said the studio didn't land in Houston because of infrastructure issues. But come on now. Anybody paying attention knows that wasn't the full story. The real reason was buried in tension. The street pressure, the politics, the heat that started to bubble just a little too high. This wasn't about studio wiring or permits. This was about a turf war gone corporate. And 50, being the strategist he is, chose to dodge the drama and keep pushing forward on his own terms. The streets of Houston were getting too hot, and not from the Texas sun. With Jay Prince turning up the pressure, 50 knew the writing was on the wall. His studio was about to become a target. The tension wasn't just online anymore. It was creeping into real life. And for 50, that crossed a line. Instagram jabs are one thing, but putting people's jobs, safety, and futures on the line? That's a whole different type of war, and 50 wasn't trying to play that reckless game. So instead of making a scene, he made a smart boss move. He packed up and bounced. Quiet, no drama, no fireworks. Just relocated the whole operation without even flinching. It wasn't about losing. It was about not giving the streets a reason to turn business into bloodshed. But here's the twist. While Jay might have been throwing shade, Houston was showing love. The whole city embraced 50 like he'd been born there. His arrival gave H-Town a fresh spark, and the love was real, from the people to the politicians. Houston's own mayor, Sylvester Turner, was one of the loudest voices cheering 50 on. This wasn't just fanboy hype. Turner saw the vision. He saw a man who wasn't just about money and music, but someone who knew how to build, give back, and lead. Turner went all in on the support. He gave 50 Cent the key to the city. And if that wasn't enough, he made November 24th 50 Cent Day. And the announcement? It went down at the city's Thanksgiving Day parade. Now that's legendary status right there. But Turner's respect wasn't just about platinum albums. He saw a real one in 50. A man with business sense and a real heart for the community. 50 didn't come to Houston to take, he came to give back. And he proved it with action. His G-Unity Foundation started putting in work fast, creating programs to uplift teens and give them real opportunities. But that was just the start. 50 also tapped into the holiday spirit, organizing turkey drives, donating toys, and showing out for the people. And it wasn't small change either. Try $850,000 worth of toys dropped off for the community, with zero clout chasing on social media. No flashy posts, no bragging, just love for the city that welcomed him. And on top of that, he raised another $500,000 for Houston's children's charity like it was nothing. 50 didn't just pull up in Houston, he made it better. While others were playing street games, he was out here building legacy. 50 Cent didn't just show up in Houston and make promises, he put his money where his mouth was. At one charity event, he auctioned off 2 giant bottles of his own champagne, and that alone brought in serious cash. But that was just the tip of the iceberg. The whole event ended up raising a jaw-dropping $6 million for the cause. That ain't just good PR, that's real impact. He wasn't there for photo ops or empty speeches. 50 got his hands dirty in the best way, helping real people, changing real lives. So how do you hate on someone doing all that good? Truth is, you can't, unless you're someone like Jay Prince, watching your spotlight fade in your own city. See, with 50 taking over the hearts of Houston, Jay's power started looking shaky. When a whole city falls in love with an outsider who's actually putting in work, it's only natural that Jay's grip on the scene starts slipping. And Jay? He ain't the type to take that lightly. Suddenly, the OG who once ruled the city like a king was being outshined. That jealousy started brewing deep, but instead of throwing hands in public, the tension stayed low-key. The real tea? It didn't come from Jay or 50. It came straight from Tony Yayo, the enforcer of G-Unit. Everybody wanted to know, why didn't G-Unit play ball with Jay Prince? Why skip the check-in when hitting Houston? Tony broke it all down during an interview with Vlad TV, and he kept it all the way real. According to Yayo, G-Unit never saw themselves as a regular rap crew. Nah, they operated more like a unit of soldiers. They didn't need outside protection. They watched each other's backs and handled their own problems. That whole check-in thing? To them, that sounded less like safety and more like submission. So when the pressure came, Tony didn't sugarcoat it. He flat out said what a lot of folks only whispered. The check-in game was just extortion. It was either pay up or risk being targeted. Straight mafia style. And 50? He wasn't about to play that role. He refused to bow, and his team backed him every step of the way. That's why the tension kept rising, because G-Unit wouldn't follow the street politics that had ruled the city for so long. The whole check-in game sounds friendly on the surface, but let's be real, it's all in the wording. You're not dropping a bag to the mafia for protection from stick-ups or beatdowns. You're just checking in with the top rap boss in Houston, right? Sounds chill, until you realize what's really going on. Tony Yayo wasn't afraid to say it, so let's stop sugarcoating. This is pressure, not protection, not hospitality. It's a quiet demand. Pay up or get crushed. You weren't buying safety, you were buying a pass, permission to move without heat, and if you didn't pay that unspoken fee, you were marked. This ain't some warm welcome to the city. It's a hustle, plain and simple. A scam disguised as street respect. And while some artists might have been too scared to speak out, 50 Cent and the G-Unit squad, they weren't playing that game, not even a little bit. They came into Houston with the goal of building. Not bleeding artists dry, but for the longest time, Jay Prince had the city locked down. If you were an up-and-coming rapper in Houston, or even just passing through, you had to check in. That was the rule if you wanted to make moves without trouble. But anyone who's seen a mafia flick knows how this works. You're not paying for protection. You're paying to not become a target. It's respect with a price tag, and the ones demanding it, oh, they just happen to be the same ones who can't promise your safety if you don't comply. That's not a welcome. It's a shakedown. Don't pay up. Cool. Then suddenly, you're getting robbed, jumped, or blocked in the industry. And somehow, the same people you refuse to pay are nowhere to be found. Coincidence? Yeah, right. 50 Cent wasn't going for that nonsense, not even close. And Tony Yayo had his back 100%. In fact, Tony didn't just speak out on the pressure. He took it a step further and brought up one of the darkest moments in recent rap history, the death of Pop Smoke. Pop Smoke did everything by the so-called rules. He checked in, showed respect, played the game, and still ended up gone, dead. That tragic loss was a wake-up call, and Tony Yayo didn't bite his tongue about it. He said what a lot of people were scared to say: the check-in game don't guarantee safety. It's a lie. Pop did his part, but the people who were supposed to protect him, they were nowhere to be found when it mattered. That's why Tony called it what it really is: extortion, plain and dirty. And he's right. You can't keep hiding this behind slick words and street honor. The game's been exposed. Back in the 90s, folks might have turned a blind eye to these shady moves. But this ain't the 90s anymore. Today's audience wants leaders, not leeches. People now want to see a rap boss give back to the hood, not squeeze it dry for a few extra bucks. G-Unit stood on that. When Jay's crew came at them full force, demanding their so-called street tax, G-Unit didn't just say no, they called out the entire operation. They weren't afraid to call it for what it was: a power play dressed up as tradition. They weren't just dodging the toll. They were challenging the whole system. Jay Prince's tactics weren't about unity or protection. They were about control. And G-Unit, they don't fold. They don't bow down to nobody, especially not to a self-crowned king running what looked a lot like a rap mafia. So the beef wasn't just over money, it was over philosophy. 50 Cent saw the game for what it was: an outdated hustle that hurt more than it helped. He didn't want to become another version of Jay Prince. He wanted to be better. He wanted to build a legacy that didn't depend on intimidation or fear. Refusing to check in? That was just the first move. 50 and Tony Yayo were ready to shake up the whole system. Tony made it clear: the old rules gotta go. The smoke and mirror protection schemes were being dragged into the light. Remember how 50 Cent kept his charity moves low-key? No need for clout, no fake flex, just real love for the people. Meanwhile, Jay Prince was out here chasing cameras, trying to make his so-called heroic moments go viral. But 50 wasn't about to let him run that scripted PR show unchecked. He called it out immediately. And he wasn't alone. Plenty of folks saw right through it. Jay was playing an outdated game, stuck in a mindset from another era. That whole mob-style image might have worked in the 20th century, but this is the digital age, and people ain't blind anymore. Jay Prince is pushing 60, yet he's still trying to move like he's a young street boss in the 90s. But the game's changed and he didn't evolve. Instead of adapting, he's stuck in this tired cycle of power plays, silent threats, and behind-the-scenes pressure, thinking it still works in 2025 like it did in 1995. The check-in hustle didn't end when 50 stood tall. Nope, it kept going. Fast forward to TakeOff and Quavo, who didn't play along with Jay's game either. And sadly, that moment of independence ended in tragedy. TakeOff lost his life during that now infamous dice game. A senseless loss. And when it came time for Jay to speak, crickets, or worse, confusing, vague statements that dodged the real questions. No ownership, no accountability, just noise meant to distract. And it didn't stop there. Jay's grip on the street image started slipping more when he let something slip, publicly admitting to destroying evidence. A major red flag that had folks questioning everything. It was a move that peeled the curtain back even further. Then came the heartbreaking case of Duke the Jeweler. The man hit big in a dice game and barely had time to celebrate before he was robbed and murdered. The timing? Way too suspicious. The environment? Cold. And the silence from those who were supposed to be protectors? Deafening. But this has always been Jay Prince's game, ruling Houston through pressure, fear, and that old-school street rep. He's held power like a shadow boss, flexing influence behind the scenes. But then came 50 Cent, a whole different kind of force. 50 didn't show up trying to tax the city. He came to build it up. Yeah, he's stacking money, no doubt. but he's doing it the clean way. No backdoor shakedowns, no dice game setups, no silent threats. He's about business, legacy, and real impact. No fake Don Corleone moves needed. When you stack these two titans side by side, the difference is crystal clear. 50 Cent is building a future, he's investing in people, putting real dollars into the community, and making moves to elevate Houston. Meanwhile, Jay? He's still stuck in a fantasy script, playing like he's starring in a rerun of The Godfather. But here's the twist. 50's not just clowning on Instagram anymore. The jokes are done, the memes paused. Now, he's on a mission to pull the mask off Jay Prince and show the world who he really is. No more side talk, just facts, receipts, and truth. Word on the street? 50's been quietly gathering info for a major expose, digging into all the shady dealings that have kept Jay's empire standing. If he drops the full story, this won't just hurt Jay's ego, it could bring federal heat. We're talking real consequences, not just online drama. Jay's long reign might finally be on the edge of collapse, and it's 50 Cent, the outsider turned H-Town hero, who might bring the whole operation down. Tony Yayo already cracked the surface, and now 50's about to blow the whole roof off. Will 50 Cent take the crown and end Jay Prince's run once and for all? We're watching history in the making. Smash that like button if you're riding with 50. Drop a comment and let us know. Should 50 expose everything? Don't forget to share this with your crew. Hit that subscribe so you don't miss the next drop. We've got more wild stories coming your way. See you in the next one. Bamba.